Hey everybody, the Retro Beard. I am very excited for y'all to get to see this very first episode of a series that I plan to do just simply called Be Excellent. If you know me and you know my page, one of the things that I've always done is signed off any of my videos with Be Excellent to each other. It's a motto, of course, from Bill and Ted, but it is a very important thing to me in a way I feel that as humans and as people, we should live our life with just kindness and love and being excellent to each other. For a number of years here on Instagram, I've done Christmas giving. I've gotten with a lot of great people. We've raised a lot of great money and gave it to a lot of charities. I've tried to motivate people to do stuff locally, which I have been doing stuff locally with my charitable donations through this Be Excellent Christmas thing that we do, and donating to a very specific organization called Connecting Kindness. And I got to sit down and interview Miss Donna Pack, who is the founder of Connecting Kindness, in this following video. But as I went through the video and watching it, I just kind of wanted to lean in just a little bit and say, watch this with a very open mind. Connecting Kindness does amazing work with refugees in the Nashville area. And I know that that can be a rather politically charged subject for a lot of people, but you got to remember, this is all about humans coming together and doing some great stuff. This has nothing to do with anybody's political views or anything like that. This is simply just a group that does great work with people that need the help. So watch this with kindness, watch this with an open heart, listen to Miss Donna. And I think it's some good conversations and some great stories that we get to hear from her on how this organization helps refugees, and how just this small little thing has impacted and changed so many people's lives. So I appreciate you coming to this video. I'm hoping to do a lot more of this. I want to make this my primary content, at least here on YouTube. So I'm looking for a lot of great people that are making a lot of changes in their neighborhood, and just these small changes that are impacting worlds, because I personally believe loving kindness is free. So let's just be excellent to each other. Hope you enjoy the video. Let me know in the comments below.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. I am here with Miss Donna Pack. She's the founder of Connecting Kindness. Donna, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well.
This is fun. We've been supporting each other for what, about 3 years now, and this is the first time we've ever actually met.
I think it has been 3 years. 3 years of holiday cheer.
Yes, ma'am. So, reason I asked you here, and I told you, off recording, obviously, that I'm going to turn this into a kind of a video series, just to give you a short amount of background of what we do and why I'm doing this. I started out on Instagram a little over 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago. And I was part of retro gaming, and that from the donations. We always donate from the community here. And it just became this thing, and I got into a bunch of different videos with YouTubers and buddies that do a bunch of different stuff. And I've always gravitated, for whatever reason. I don't know if you know the movie Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so I'm a Bill and Ted fan, and for whatever reason, like, life motto is be excellent to each other, right? Like, that has been the closing of videos and things I've written for way longer than I was on Instagram. You and I go to the same church.
Yeah.
And I stole a little thing from our church called the Dollar Club, where everybody got together, raised money, and did some good in the community. So I stole that, got together with a bunch of different Instagrammers and YouTubers, and started doing stuff around the holidays. Now, I've done stuff with other folks outside of the holidays, but the holidays is our big time. So we do a whole month of Be Excellent Giving, which you are very aware of. We raise a bunch of money. We donate it to local causes. Everybody that puts an item in gets to pick where they want their money to go. And for the last 3 years, mine has gone to Connecting Kindness because of our friend Vernon. So with that said, tell me a little bit about what Connecting Kindness does.
Connecting Kindness it was, in a short synopsis, is doing life with refugees and immigrants as people arrive in the United States, helping meet the basic needs, socially, community, building relationships with the people for no other purpose than building a relationship, just having someone to hang out. We get people from all over the world, from war zones. Lots of Afghans are still arriving that managed to escape and are in third countries and just trying to get here. We're getting Syrians once again that have been in a queue for about 10 years when they left the war, and then COVID and all kinds of things that they couldn't get here. So we welcome refugees, get them in a home. The resettlement agency finds a place for them to stay, and then have the real pleasure of kind of doing HGTV, of fixing. It's not HGTV, but we ask the people around us, hey, this new family just moved in. Maybe you have things for a 2-year-old little boy. Your kid's now 4. Just making a house, a home, and getting the things that make people success. Going to English classes, making sure they're signed up for those. Taking men to soccer games. There is nothing in the world that unites men more than a soccer game, a football game. Like I say, it's doing life, crying with people when they cry. Imagine being in the United States and you've got a sick baby, or you're getting ready to have a baby and your mom's not here. And this is not the way we had babies in other countries. But it's a family. It's a family affair. And when the holidays come, we say this is a time a lot of our people meet Father Christmas, or Santa Claus, and the Christ child. It's a real crazy concept for people to meet these two things. And from sitting where I am, it's the best snapshot of humanity one could ever want. I feel like I'd sit on the sidelines and watch people do good. See, I told you have to shut me up, because I got my passion. That's what I do every day.
This is why I'm putting this together, because I think people's stories. I love stories. I do. I've always loved stories. Like, even from a reading standpoint, I prefer to read autobiographies and stuff because I like people's stories. So when did you start Connecting Kindness?
As a 501c3, just a couple of years ago, but I've done this for about 20 years. My daughter came home at 14 and she said, hey, Mom, does genocide really still exist? Oh, that was Rwanda. She had watched Hotel Rwanda and just couldn't get that people could do that to others. And then we realized how many lost boys, refugees that we had in Nashville. Nashville's been a hub of refugees for a long time. We didn't know they were here. We worked with the homeless. That was another, whole segment of our life. But once we looked into the refugee situation in town, our Thanksgiving table never looked the same. We learned, they learned. The 14, let's see, she was 14 and she's 33 now. And those same people that we dealt with that long ago have moved on, have homes, have children, and we still celebrate holidays together. They're giving back. They are totally giving back to the new people that arrive. I say it's the coolest thing ever to watch it happen.
Right. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I know we had talked, I guess it was last year or so, that somebody had finally talked you into setting up the 501c3 and a website and all that fun stuff.
Yep. Had to do that. It adds legitimacy when you're talking to some of the big players of churches and other nonprofits. I think it adds that to it, and it's been good for people to be able to click and donate. I speak to a lot of schools because I think that's where my daughter at 14 heart got whoa, And I think that's very important to expose kids at that age, that there's something that they can do as well.
Yeah.
So I speak to a lot of kids, and the website's a good place for the parents to go and learn more and get into volunteering.
You said you worked with the homeless previously. So is your daughter the big kind of catalyst for what got you into working with refugees specifically?
Yes, I know someone at NYU said, how in the world in Nashville, Tennessee, did you get involved with refugees? And she said, it never was a question if I would serve, it was who I was going to serve, because we took them to room at the inn, they little kids, but, and it wasn't a box to check. It was this is why we are created, is to walk with other people and enjoy them and learn from them. So I don't think they wanted to miss out on an opportunity. And it never has been a burden. It's been, can't wait. And they're all coming in for Christmas, and it'll be such a celebration. My daughter got married a couple of years ago in New Orleans. They live in New York, but they flew refugees into New Orleans for their wedding. So enough of my family stuff, but it's deep. The relational things go a long, long way.
Now, in those 20 years, or statistically speaking, what is the refugee climate like in Nashville? Because I know you typically focus on Nashville, right? Y'all haven't expanded.
No, we're
outside
pretty.
of our area.
Of course, she's in New York and does a lot of things there. Nashville, a lot has to do with what administration is in Washington and locally. Right now, we got a great mayor that's open. So I think that part is good. With ebbs and flows of, like I say, you read BBC, you can kind of see whatever's on BBC. You're going to see that on a much smaller scale in Nashville. We see a lot of hospitality. Lots and lots of hospitalities, even from churches that you might not think would embrace that. Not only with the refugees, we have lots of undocumented immigrants here, and Connecting Kindness, we open our door and say, we go with, I was hungry and you fed me. I was naked and you clothed me. You didn't ask me for anything else. And that's just where we are. Saying that also brings me to the point of how many, through the relationships that we've made, how many people we have found that were undocumented because they missed their ICE appointment because they didn't have a car. But getting with those people and getting them back in the system, and then them being on their way to not having to live under the radar, that, okay, yeah, I'm getting my green card. I'm going to be a citizen one day. But that comes from the relationship that we build, and funds. You have to have funds to be able to do that. So as a whole, I think the refugee climate is pretty open right now. We've been so diverse over the years. Gosh, how many years ago was when all the Kurds came in, and Nashville really embraced the Kurds and the South Sudanese. And Nashville are the two largest populations of those people outside of their country. So why Nashville? I don't know, but I guess we've had open arms.
That's good. Yeah. I mean, Nashville's growing. So I just assumed that was, part of it. Work here, and there's different pieces and parts of it like that.
Yeah. You say you like stories, and this had just recently happened. Every day is a story, literally every day. But a couple months ago, we were at our place in South Nashville in an apartment complex where many immigrants and refugees live. But we had another project that day. We weren't handing out things. We were going through Amazon returns, see if there's anything that could be helpful to our people. And I see a young lady and her mom walking down the sidewalk. She's got the shirt rolled up, pants rolled down, and I thought, oh my goodness, this girl is going to deliver a baby. And I said, we're closed. And I thought, oh no, if I send her on her way, she's going to deliver on the sidewalk. Come to find out, she was a 14-year-old girl who had been in detention. I don't know how anyway, 14 years old, first stages of labor. She had no health care. She had a removal hearing, which is when the government, if you miss your ICE appointment, then a removal hearing. She had the removal hearing on the same day that the baby was due. They were being evicted. She didn't have a car seat to take to the hospital. But we call it connecting kindness. I don't fix all these things, but you're connecting people with kindness of other strangers. First thing, we had a brand new car seat sitting on the front porch when we got home. You can't bring a baby home from the hospital with an old expired car seat. It has to be one that's new. So that's there. I'm thinking, okay, I guess you got the first part of this, but that's the easy part. An immigration attorneys are booked solid. I kept calling, all within a couple hour period. We got connected with a kind attorney that said, I'll take the case for free. And it was supposed to be in Memphis. And she said, and I'll come to her and we'll do it Zoom. How does this stuff happen? 36 hours after meeting her, I was at General Hospital holding her precious little baby boy, and the community came together and we got the things that she needed. And another church that I did not know decided to have a quinceanera for her. She was turning 15 as a big party, which the girl kept saying, I don't deserve. And it was, no, this is starting anew and bringing the rest of us community together that are going to help her get on with life. So those are the everyday stories. I just went to the quinceanera, so that's on top of my head. So
I love it. Like, just, I knew getting with you because I have seen you a couple of times in a couple of different Dollar Club videos. So I knew your passion about this and your desire to connect people, because one of the last ones I remember was a refugee, and I can't remember her name for the life of me. I should have went and found the video. She was talking about getting a car and everything else that she wanted to do in Nashville to just start her business and everything.
And guess what? She is having Thanksgiving dinner with another person from Cross Point. This was a lonely lady. She has a dancing pal, a group of girls from Cross Point that go out and dance at Plaza Mariachi, eating dinner with them. And she sent me her resume. She's done a banking class. This is since last year. But the problem was she was lonely. She needed that community, and she needed a car because she was in a very bad part of town and walking third shift down and Cross Point got her a putter car that was just good enough to get her to work and back. But to look at where she is today, and I say what Connecting Kindness hopes to do is to build those relationships that go further than the car.
Right. It's amazing. And yeah, I don't even know what to say. Like, I'm trying not to cry at certain times. I know you are too, telling these stories.
Yes,
They're so heartfelt, and it's wonderful. So let's talk a little bit about the specifics around the Christmas stuff, because I know your Christmas stuff is different than the rest of your year.
Oh, it is.
And we've talked about that in email, where it's like the donations that we do for you guys go to a very specific project, which is,
we have a Christmas party every year. And again, my child at 14 said, Mom, these folks don't know about Christmas. And at first it was just gathering bits and pieces of whatever was left. And she would say, this is our holiday. We have all of these holidays. We have Eid, we have Diwali, we have all these things in our community, but this is our holiday. This is Christmas. And we take gently used things all year, but at Christmas, we ask that people purchase things that are fit for the king. That doesn't mean they have to be very expensive, but something nice and new that you would bring to the king. This year, I think we're going to serve about 400 children. And these are children we've laid eyes on. We know the kids, we know their families. And so it's very, very exciting. We try to have things for the parents, socks, just things that make life a little bit different. I call it a twirly dress moment, because we are in, if I told you some of the situations some of the people are in that seem so hopeless, just shockingly, how are you putting one foot in front of the other? But on the special day, I call it twirly dress, kids get out, play, run, moms get bangle bracelets and hats. And for a moment, the world is good. For a moment, we can forget about those things. So that's really the purpose of it. And that's going to be on December 9th.
Excellent. And you were telling me a story earlier about what we ended up using the money for last year. You ain't got to tell the whole end of the story, but just tell a little bit about last year and the little girl and what, she was provided and some of the gifts that have gone through.
We had a little girl last year with the funds that you all gave me. We had a family that just arrived from Afghanistan. And why we chose them, I think probably is because of this little girl. She's just adorable. And this is her first Christmas, and she's just learning English. And Santa Claus is a foreign concept, but kind of getting the feel that if you ask Santa Claus, he's a pretty powerful guy. So she asked for a bike, and none of our kids were getting bikes. That's a huge thing. But because of what you guys did, we concentrated on one family and made it very special. Well, she got a bicycle. She got a bike, and her little siblings got riding toys. Oh, she's just thrilled. And her English has gotten better over the years, and this past year. And she came back 2 Saturdays ago. She said, Miss Donna, do you remember that bicycle that I asked Santa for and I got? I said, yeah, baby, I do. But Santa he's not always able to get what you want. And I said, what is it that you want to ask him for this year? And she said, a washing machine. So, it's precious. And what you bet, Santa Claus will find a washing machine for that little girl. We see so much, even with the Dollar Club we did yesterday. The little girl, I say little girl, she's 17. She said, we do things as a family. We wash the dishes. We wash the clothes. She's a 17-year-old girl who works at Kroger after school to give her money to her daddy to help pay the bills. A little bit different than the American mentality of I work, it's my money, and I'm going to buy the shoes that I want. No. So I think that this little girl was, Santa was a family affair now. She got last year. It's mommy's turn. Anyway, precious babies.
So I would imagine working with refugees, especially that are just coming to the area, coming to the United States, even in a lot of cases, right? Like, how do you help them find some level of hope? Like, this to me is like the best of humanity, right? When we can get together and just be kind to each other. Again, that's what be excellent to each other means. But it's just that. But I just, you talk about the American way of families and different stuff. And, You can even talk about the American way of life and hope, and it's just different. And some of these people I've met, like they come, the most optimistic people in the world to come to America.
Mhm. It's truly hope when you've been in such a hopeless situation, when you've lost people along the way. It's a journey of, if they're truly a refugee, they've left their country because of war or persecution or some sort of natural disaster. They did not choose to leave. They did not choose to go to the second place, wherever they flee and get to. By the time they get to that second destination, their sights are set on, I'm going to get to the US or Canada or Australia. That's what their desire is. But only 1% of those people ever get, it's like playing the lottery. Only 1% ever get to fulfill the whole dream and get here. So, man, if you're getting on that plane coming to US, you are a winner before all this other stuff that has happened. Of course, you're bringing trauma that we can't even begin to understand, especially the Afghans most recently. But they're winners. They got here. We have many professional men who come here, and then they have to work at Tyson and pluck chickens. But because of their situation, there's hope. And their hope gives me hope so often. And their faith, for the majority, is so real and so tangible, because they got to places that's all they had. That is all they had, was that faith and that hope that they were going to get a meal, that they were going to get safe. So I don't know. I look at them so many times and think, could I do that? Would I have the strength to do that? And I don't think so. But yeah.
It's hard to figure those things out unless you're put into a situation like that, right? Like,
Yeah.
And we have a huge luxury of being in this country.
We do. The little girl yesterday, I keep saying little girl, she's 17, but they were filming her, and she says, she was talking about her journey of getting to the United States and leaving Afghanistan, and they had worked for the embassy, and they left with only the clothes on their back and had to live in a field, and all these terrible things. Getting into Germany was just awful. And when they finally reached the United States and New Jersey, she said, she's just a little girl. She looks at the camera. She says, if there are any U.S. soldiers watching this, I just want to thank you for what you did for our family. And that was not prompted by anyone. That was that's where the hope started back, was, okay, we got here and we knew the soldiers were going to keep us safe and warm and feed us. So anyway, we never know what our little part is playing. We have no idea.
Now, are there any, I don't shy away from hard questions as much as given, Nashville, the area, even the country, is there political things that you have to navigate?
Yes.
Dealing with refugees, and how complicated is that? Like,
it's very complicated, and first of all, our refugees have to deal with it. Still, and you hate to even think about this, but it goes back to not just our refugees. This goes back to just racism in general, good old Southern racism. But if a woman has a hijab on her head, if she's covered, in South Nashville, that's not always a positive thing. But I have one of my ladies, she's Kurdish, and her husband said, we are in America now. You can take that off. They're still Muslim. And she said, no, this is between me and my God, and it has nothing to do with you. So, a strong woman. But I have been to restaurants with my refugees where they were not served. order something, order falafel for 2, and they'll say, oh, we only have it for 1. And you think, how can that still happen in the world? And you see it with churches. Unfortunately, you see it with churches. Jesus loves the little children of the world, red and yellow, black and white. They are precious in his sight. Don't let them put a hijab on, and they need to smell like us and look like us. But the thing that changes it is to know somebody, to either work with someone or come serve someone, and realize there are so many more similarities than there are differences. And it breaks my heart. It really does, when the racism happens. Now, I will say this, and this is probably a little controversial too, but it's very, very true. When we bring refugees in from, maybe they came through Turkey, they're Afghans, and they get put in an apartment complex that is all Africans. No, they're scared. They're very scared. There's a less than. So our Southern racism isn't unique to the world. It exists, and that's unfortunate. I don't understand it, but it very much exists. And I guess it's a little easier in Nashville to be that way, because we're not really a diverse city.
We're working our way there, though, aren't we? Pretty quickly.
Yes, we are. I don't know if I answered your question on that or not, but it is still difficult. Absolutely.
Right. And I have my own strange political views, which are basically just, can we just be humans? I'm not politically on the spectrum at all.
Maybe you should run for office. Maybe that's the solution.
To your point of, when we sit down and have these conversations with people, we really aren't that different. Life's a little different. It looks a little different, but people are people. And we all have some level of similar stories to tell. I always try to remind people, I bolted onto the be excellent to each other a while back, and try to remind people that love and kindness are free. It takes absolutely nothing to just be kind to people.
And you feel better.
You too. Yeah, 100% you do. If you just can sit down and listen to stories and stop thinking about whatever the television tells you to think about. And
I'll tell you one more quick one on that.
Go for it.
Quick of the similarities. This was several years ago, and it's when the Nepali people were coming, and the Burmese people, and they invited me for an Eid service, which is their big celebration twice a year. And this was the lesser one. It's Feast of the Sacrifice. If you go back to the Torah, to the Jewish, it would be the Feast of the Sacrifice, where Abraham took Isaac. Well, in the Quran, it's Ibrahim took Ishmael. Well, we all know that, but I thought I was just going to eat this wonderful spread of food, and I took my husband. Well, he still had his business clothes on. We get to the door, and I knock, and I hear this noise. I thought, oh no, that's not a hairdryer. They have gone and this is an apartment. They have gotten a whole cow, and they've put a tarp down on the floor, and the head of the cow was in a 5-gallon bucket. And they were praying and circle sawing this cow apart, because of representing the Feast of the Sacrifice. Well, my husband was working with the Gideons at the time. He's got his little New Testament in his pocket, and it was the imam who opened the door. Do you know, they sat there, and I'm a vegetarian, so imagine the smell of the blood. And they talked about Ishmael. They talked about Isaac. They talked about the similarities. They talked about the difference. Of course, both thought the other was wrong, but there was no arguing. It was the similarity that, okay, this is a huge thing, but there's a similarity that is much greater than the difference. And they cut out the first offering because they wanted us, their guests, to have the chunk of cow that they cut out. I just say that because that's one of those things that will stay in my heart forever. That was not what I would have ever imagined happening that night.
Right. Yeah. I lost my train of thought, which was a normal thing that happens for me.
Probably because I was telling a long story.
Oh, no, not at all. So just to kind of circle back to that, and I'm trying to find what I was going to say. Oh, there it is. You know, I think people forget, and I don't want to go in the political thing too far. I just think people forget that that's what those stories and those situations and those things, like learning about different cultures and everything, is honestly what made America pretty awesome. Right. If you go read a history book, right, go look at Ellis Island and, the actual Statue of Liberty. Maybe somebody should read Bring Me You're Poor, You're Tired, You're Cuddled Masses.
Like, Willie. Yeah.
Like, let's, that's the melting pot is what made America unique forever.
And it doesn't mean you have to agree.
No, not at all.
Especially what's going on in the Middle East right now. We won't get into
Right.
that, but that's yeah. And who's the good guys, who's the bad guys, who's this, who's that. My friends, both. These are
right.
Yeah.
We talked about that before. We both have people on a lot of sides of stuff going on right now. And it's complicated. It's all complicated, but we forget that I think a lot of people very much forget that there's just real people caught in the middle of that. And that's what you guys help, right? Is the people that are caught in the middle of that, because the majority of people, I truly believe, are kind.
I do too.
They want to be loved. They want to be, have people around them. They want to have a community. And people just want to be kind to each other. The majority of the world does, I believe.
I had one man from Iraq who had a terrible, terrible time with Saddam Hussein. He was made to serve under him, and then, had relented everything and was here. And one day he'd seen me out at different homes, and he says, "Who are you, and why do you do this?" And we're still friends for forever and ever. Our families are knit together because if I was in your country, would you do this for me? He said, "Oh, absolutely. Absolutely." Okay, well, let's just look at it through that lens for a bit. It does not that I'm doing anything special. You would do the same thing if I was in your country, and just kind of reducing it down to the ridiculous, that this is what we do.
So
grateful for people like you. Very grateful for people who are taking the time to let others be heard, and to see what some people just need, that nudge. Well, what do I do? Where do I go? Where do I put my money? I get money at Connecting Kindness because somebody's mad at somebody at church and they don't want to put their tithe in. That happens, and it happens more than I like to say.
Hey, and then, I think it all goes to good, especially
it does.
Being able to, I picked Connecting Kindness again through Vernon, but my whole goal, and I had reached out to Vernon a couple years ago whenever I went down this path of, because Vernon was a groups director, a community director at that time, and I was like, hey, I need somebody local. Like, I don't want to just, my mother's a breast cancer survivor, so that would be a great default to just go, oh, Susan G. Komen, I can throw some money in, I can feel good about that. But I always try to encourage people that participate and help and that hear this message is do something local, because I believe that all kindness and all change can start really, really small, right? Absolutely. Something like Connecting Kindness, and just grow out from that. So find something local like you guys and make an impact quickly in
We
your
give out
area.
12,000 diapers a month, and the people line up to get the diapers every other Saturday. The diaper is something that is needed. Diapers are expensive. Diapers are needed. But what more comes out of that diaper, of making eye contact with that mommy and then seeing what are her other needs that she doesn't want to ask. We have many mommies that are in domestic abuse situations that just need a person to call to help her to get a restraining order. Or, hey, you know what? That mommy's getting those diapers. Her husband hasn't worked in 2 weeks. They really have no food. And it's to connect those kind of things. Oh, there's an immigration hearing coming up. They don't know how to get in school. Just those kind of things. And like I say, it's not that I do it, but everybody has, if you're living and breathing, you have some connection to something.
Right.
Yeah.
And how do you navigate very obvious language barriers?
I always say language is highly overrated, except in
Agreed.
medical and legal fields. The rest of it, we get a few words, the most important words I know in Arabic and Spanish or whatever is the hot language at the time. Find a friend in one of the refugees or immigrants that's willing to hang out, feel special, and translate for us. Yeah, language is a big barrier. Before COVID, it's taken a lot of women to the hospital to have babies, and they have the little strip of smiley faces, frowny faces to point to where you are in pain. They always just do the smiley the best. I feel like an kid, and so language, we get through it. Yeah, it could be better. And we do teach English class through Connecting Kindness, not a structured class. It's a survival English on Saturday mornings that people can come and just learn those things that are most important to you. What is your address? Where's the bathroom? My child is sick, those kind of things. So we do address that. And Nashville has a lot of ESL classes. It's just getting people cars to be able to drive to the ESL classes or getting the bus system fixed. So it could be feasible for people with no money to ride.
Right. Yeah. I took 3 years of Spanish in high school, and where's the bathroom is still the only phrase I remember. So,
but you would go back if you're around that community, you would pick up.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mess with a friend of mine because I remember just enough, and I can hear words and what you said, pick up things because he'll talk Spanish around me to family, and I'll pick up. I'm like, what are you talking about? So kind of just to close out, I know you and I could sit here and just kind of probably ramble for a couple hours.
Absolutely. I love what you're doing.
So tell me just a little bit about how people can find you, through the website, how they can help outside of myself. Like that's key, is I want awareness for you guys and what y'all are doing. And if there are even things that regionally that people could find even locally in their area, that's the same
in
thing.
the area. We are still in a food insecure place. That happened during COVID for the first time in my 20 years of doing this, that we truly had hungry people. We learned a lot that was never anything that we wanted, that we provided, because people bought their own groceries or they went to a food bank. And we learned a lot. We got a lot of food donated that people didn't eat. They don't know. If you've been raised in a mud hut and cooked over a fire and somebody gives you a box of macaroni and cheese, that doesn't work. We have kind of come down to, we have an emergency pantry, and we keep 8 items: beans, dried beans, rice, spaghetti sauce, just those things that go across all of the nations. That is something, if you go to the website, and that's one way, if you give money, that's one of the things that we do. Another thing that's along just food insecurity, like we just had a local high school that wears uniforms, and they said, we're going to have a dress down day. If you don't wear your uniform, you can bring a $5 donation and it will go here, and then we'll take that money and stock the pantries with. So that monies are good for food insecurity. Not just, I'll just tell you, we learned so much about cherry pie filling, and peanut butter are not always top of the list. Other ways people can participate, I always say, what do you do? What do you do? What do you like to do? Oh, well, I like to paint. Well, guess what? I got people that like to paint too, but they don't have paints and they don't have papers. Why don't you come over one Saturday morning and we paint? And there's where relationships start. I work at a shoe store. Well, shoes, an awesome thing. Most of these people have never, ever had a brand new pair of shoes. Come put shoes on feet. We have some older Sunday school classes at Brentwood United Methodist, and some of those women, man, they want to get in there and they want to work and work and work, and that's great. But you have others that don't. We have a wish list of just the basic things that you can't buy with food stamps, shampoo, soaps, and those come directly to my house, and then from Amazon, and I take them in to do that. As far as volunteering as a person or as a group, send me a message and we find a place. Every Saturday morning, we're there with some project going on, some giveaway of some sort. I'm at the Highlands most every day during the week. Like when we finish now, I will go over and check on everyone before I go out of town for a few days. But there are many opportunities. Funds are awesome, but so are people, and we need both of them to make it work. I can't do it all. And find out what your gift is, and it's so cool to watch it happen. Like things, we have to serve the cities, and people come in, they meet other people. Then I'm like, okay, Rosa and her family, oh no, they were out with the Cross Point family. They went to the fair with them. It's that relationship building that comes out. You get what, I guess, what you want out of it. If you want to throw dollars at it, that's awesome. If you want to put your heart into it, that's awesome too. We need both.
Dollars and time.
Yeah.
Those are your two needs.
Yeah.
Oh,
It opens your head and your heart. And I don't think God needs us to make this happen. But man, he gives us an opportunity to bond with other people and learn. And it's just rich, just a very, very rich. And when I go away, I miss my folks. I miss them. I want to see what's going on. And when COVID hit, we couldn't bring volunteers in. The residents rose up. This is now their project. When the diaper truck pulls up, unloads 12,000 diapers, that is the refugee community that unload the diapers, stack them up, and distribute them. So it's just very cool to watch the give back system too. They've received and now they're giving back.
It's awesome. So connectingkindness.org, correct?
That is
your
correct.
website. That's the easiest way to get a hold of you. There's some contact info on there. I know that. That's how I reached out the first time. Anything else you want to say before we wrap up? I truly appreciate you taking the time and sitting down with me. Like I said, I wanted to hear this story for a very long time and bring it to people and let them understand what we've been doing through the community, trying to impact as much as we can.
And I appreciate, and I guess the only other thing I would say is this, when you come and volunteer with Connecting Kindness, it's not you're signing a contract and you're going to be there for the next 12 Saturdays and no excuses.
Right.
It's, hey, come see what we do. see what's going on and see if you want to join in. Or there may be something that you see, oh, this would be a really good addition to this. So let's pick this up. So I would encourage, and families bring children, and it's priceless for the kids to come and play. I'm grateful for you, and we're very, very, very excited about the holidays and seeing what Santa has, because that's what they think. Yes, but
Miss
appreciate
Donna, thank you so much for taking the time, and you are a most excellent person. This is fantastic.
No, I look forward to seeing you come over there with Vernon. Vernon plays all the hand games with the kids,
I know.
And they just circle. And Vernon is our Santa again this year. So
and if y'all want to know who Vernon is, if you're watching this video, in my Instagram feed, because the first time I donated to you guys, Vernon was live on the feed with me when I gave the total, and he is a giant teddy bear of a man. And it's it is a fantastic video. We both cried. So if you want to watch two grown men cry, go for it. It's fun.
Right.
But thank you, Miss Donna. Thank you for the time, and I absolutely appreciate it.
Thanks. Bye.